This is Planet 76, your source for all things Philadelphia 76ers. We've got another great episode coming your way today, and we're cleared for takeoff. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody, to Planet 76 Podcast. This is episode 28, pushing 30. This is Planet 76. As always, I'm your co-host, Michael from Trust and Love, and Troy with me right alongside here on Zoom. And we're going to be recapping the Sixers' 4 games. Yes, that we missed, right? 4 games.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, yes. And as always, if you are not subscribed to the podcast, go do that. That's very necessary that you do that. It would be very helpful to us if you did that. Also, go follow us on Instagram, and make sure you also subscribe on YouTube, because if you prefer a video format, then YouTube is for you. The YouTube version of our podcast is for you. Whereas if you prefer audio format, our podcast version of the podcast is for you. So with that being said, I'm going to kick it to Troy. Let's get right into the episode.
Yeah, let's get right into it, but let's start with Thanksgiving.
Sure.
So, November 29th, today is Monday, but Thanksgiving just a few days ago, so I got to ask, 1, how was your Thanksgiving, Michael? And 2, what was your favorite dish?
So, my Thanksgiving was really nice. Really nice. Very relaxing. A couple of days off of classes, which is always great. So, I cannot complain. No matter the circumstances, I cannot complain about that. And ordinarily, my favorite dish, my mom makes a mac and cheese, like, casserole kind of thing.
Ooh.
Ordinarily, that is my favorite dish. However,
Okay.
I was recently diagnosed with COVID in June, and I still can't taste.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I wasn't able to enjoy my Thanksgiving favorites this year. But it's okay, because everybody else had a nice Thanksgiving, and that's great. I still had a great time.
Did you still eat the mac and cheese?
Huh?
Did you still eat the mac and cheese?
I still ate everything. I just couldn't thoroughly enjoy it as much as I do as much as I do and did in previous years. But again, so I had a nice Thanksgiving. It was very relaxing with the family, and other than that I can't complain. So how would you?
It was good. So I went down to Virginia, spent a few days with some friends down there, and went to one of my best friend's parents' house in North Carolina on Thanksgiving Day. It was good. But the best part was my friend Ben. His mom, Ben's also a Sixers fan. Shout out to Ben. His mom, Patty, makes a phenomenal peanut butter pie.
Wow.
She made a bunch of different pies. She made pumpkin pie, but I was like, no, I want that one. Peanut butter pie, pretty soft, like a thin layer of chocolate on the top. Very good. By far the best thing at the dinner table was the dessert, but everything else was good too. Stuffing was good. That's the only thing I went back for seconds was the stuffing. Very good. So shout out to them for the good eats down south in North Carolina. But yeah, it was good. It was a good few days down there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking of pie, speaking of pie, I'm a big pecan pie fan. And if you're from like Pennsylvania, I'm not sure where else they're at, but there's a store. It's called Costco. You ever heard of Costco?
Oh yeah,
Costco.
Yep, we've got Costco up here on Long Island.
Oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. They have I don't know if it's year round, but they make pecan pie. It is like, it's probably the size of my head times 3. It is massive. They make massive pies, and we always get a pumpkin and a pecan. And I gotta say, like, pecan pie is just no words.
Wow.
No words. It's amazing.
That good, huh?
Yeah.
Noted. All right. Costco, sponsor us.
Yes, please.
Oh, gosh, that'd be sick. So, yeah, Thanksgiving was good. heading into December here soon. So Sixers here on November 29th play the Orlando Magic. Got a win tonight. We'll get into that. But that puts them at a record at 11-10 on the season, around 9th, 10th in the Eastern Conference right now. About 3.5 back of the Brooklyn Nets, who lead the Eastern Conference at 14-6. We're playing a lot of road games. So we had the 6-game road trip. We come back for 2 at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Magic tonight, and now we're back on the road for 4. So our episode today is going to be covering that, covering the road trip out west, covering the 2 games at home, and then a preview of the 4 games to come. So I guess we could start with that thrilling game in Minnesota. At home against Minnesota, Joel Embiid's return just dropped a slight 42-14.
Casually.
Easy.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that one?
Well, besides for the fact that it ended in a loss, I'm just really glad that Embiid is back. I'm really glad that he is the player that he has always been. Again, monster 42-14 game with like 21 made free throws. I mean, when you talk about just sheer dominance, teams cannot guard this dude. So what do? They foul him instead. And he's a great free throw shooter, so he makes it count. He makes it worth it.
Right.
I'm sorry, he makes the other team regret it because he makes his free throws. And I also got to hand it to the Timberwolves, D'Angelo Russell. I'm not a big D'Lo fan. He's kind of boring as a player. No offense. He's really good. I'm just not a huge D'Lo guy, but he had a great game.
He would not miss.
Yeah, he
had a great game. What did he finish with?
Throwing up, dude.
Yeah, 35 points, and I think he had like only 5 at halftime or something crazy.
Yeah, some of the shots he was throwing up were just ridiculous. Like some of the threes he was hitting, I was like,
yeah,
only against the Sixers would this happen. Like. We make every single guard look like Michael Jordan, straight up. Like it's happened with Kemba Walker, it's happened with Spencer Dinwiddie, it's happened with D'Lo in the past, I'm sure, and now it's happening again. So he was put up a heroic effort in that game, and the Sixers lost, double overtime.
Yeah, what a game. D'Lo went off. Cat was annoying. Mm-hmm. He fouled out, and then he still kept just barking on the bench the entire time in overtime. He finished with 28 and 10, but D'Lo, man, and I kind of like D'Lo. Yeah, I do. He, like you said, some of the threes he was hitting, one in overtime that kind of, I don't even remember what overtime it was. The one step back on Joel was just ridiculous.
When he kind of like chucked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Off of 1 foot, right?
Yeah. Or just ridiculous. And you like knew it was going in because he was hitting mid-range shots. He was hitting, threes.
Cooking us.
He was cooking. Play of the game though, and I wish we would have won. It's got to be the Tyreese Maxiell missed free throw, Andre Drummond putback. That was wild. How you never see that?
That was crazy. That was really just wow. Drummond did that, like one of those kind of moments. Yeah. That was awesome. So clutch.
Yeah. So if you didn't catch the game, Andre Drummond checks in after Tyreese Maxiell gets fouled around half court, down by 3 with 2 seconds left. So it's like, okay, Tyreese is gonna make the first. They're gonna try and get a tap in for the second. So you got Andre Drummond on the block. You got Joel Embiid on the other side, and Tyreese makes the first and has the perfect missed free throw. Shout out to Tyreese Maxiell. That was flawless. And then Drummond taps it back in with a second left and sends it to double OT, where the Sixers would eventually fall. And we'll get into some of that, I think, here in just a moment. But, man, what a play that was. So Sixers fell to 10-10 after that game, right at 500. And then just to recap even the West Coast road trip, so the Sixers had a 6-game road trip before coming home for that one. They went 2-4, 5 of which were out west, where they went 2-3. The only other game was with Indiana. And we kind of said right here on this podcast, we said we'll take 2 wins out of 5 on that road trip. Mm-hmm. And that's what they got. And I can't complain if we said that's what we wanted. So, but let's go back. We can talk about the Magic a little bit too, but let's go back to the late game issues that the Sixers had against Minnesota. And you can like kind of run us through that if you want. So Maxey, I don't even remember the exact situation. Sixers were up late in the second overtime, and something happened. So let's hear what happened.
So I believe Embiid was coming off a screen. He was screening for Maxey. He came off a screen, and he was at the top of the key. And Maxey just threw a bad pass. Threw a bad pass, and obviously it missed the mark. And I believe the Timberwolves scored on that turnover. And it was just bad. Just really bad. And then we have in the little outline here, Embiid scored all 7 for the Sixers in double overtime. And that's another issue. Like, more guys got to get involved in the flow of the game and in the scoring column, because we have guys that can score. Seth Curry, Tobias Harris, even Tyreese Maxiell. Like, he's become a pretty reliable scorer. And, obviously Embiid is going to score a majority of the points, but you also want more guys to get involved so you don't have Embiid forcing shots.
Mm-hmm. I think what bothered me more than Maxey turning it over late, again, the Sixers, I don't know, there was obviously a difference between the shot clock and game clock, but it was like 30 seconds left. Yeah. Sixers were up 1 at the time. Maxey turns it over. That Timberwolves take the lead, and we never got it back. My issue there, and I was yelling at my TV because Maxey had it up at the top of the key. Everybody's outside, and again, there's a few second difference between the shot and game clock. He's got D'Angelo Russell on him. I'm telling Maxey, like, go take him, because D'Angelo Russell is not Kawhi Leonard by any means.
No.
Everybody in the building thinks you're going to go to Embiid. What's Embiid going to do outstanding outside the 3-point line after he gets the ball? Is he going to? We want Embiid to shoot a 3? Like, okay, I mean that's a possibility, but Maxey could have taken him, and I think whether it was on him, whether it was the play call, whether it was again, it could have been Doc Rivers saying no, Joel is getting this ball,
right?
But I can certainly see Maxey getting by him, considering there was nobody in the lane. So that was my big issue there. And then at the end of double overtime, I don't even remember. We were down. Did we need a 3? What did we lose by there? We lose by 2 or 3. Anyway, Joel Embiid got the ball on the wing and didn't even get a shot off really.
Yeah,
that was kind of disgusting.
He got doubled and he didn't even really use his dribble. And he was just kind of he was on the block almost, and he was just kind of sitting there with the ball. And yeah, you got to draw better. If you're Doc Rivers, you have to draw up a better play than that. That cannot be your last chance at a bucket late game. You need something else. That's not going to cut it at all.
Yeah, it was pretty weak. I'm going to pull up the end of the game real quick and just see, because that was upsetting, for Joel to be the only person that scores in double overtime, and he's fresh off of 3 weeks off. Why aren't other guys stepping up? Seth Curry, he ended up with 14, and I didn't see them, because second half on, it seemed like he was very, very quiet. And maybe not even to his own fault. He didn't seem to get the ball. That's just something I noticed. It's you have one of the best 3-point shooters, spot-up shooters in the league, and it seems like we never run plays for Seth late. I don't know. It was kind of a disappointing end to the game. Obviously, you want to win that one, but certainly some late game issues in Minnesota or against Minnesota. That transitioned to tonight's game against the Magic a little bit, although the Sixers came out with the W. The Sixers could not put the Orlando Magic away tonight. Seth had a great game, 24 on 10 of 13 shooting. Yes. And again, he's a guy that shoots mostly jump shots, so that's pretty good. Tobias 17 and 9, but Sixers could not put the Magic away. What's that guy's name for the Magic that went off? Wagner.
Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner,
from Michigan.
the 8th overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude was playing very well.
I've heard he's really good.
Yeah. He sure showed it tonight. He had 27, 6, and 5. Really kept them in it. I mean, he was their go-to guy late the whole fourth quarter, really. But still, like, I mean, Sixers had a big lead early. They ended up winning by 5. But it's like, even, the play-by-play announcers for the Sixers are saying, okay, like, maybe we can get some Joel some rest tonight. Let's take this lead, have a 20-point lead in the fourth. And the Sixers couldn't do it. Had some turnovers late, got a little sloppy. I'm a little concerned. That's my biggest concern with this 11-10 Sixers team is their late game management. Because it seems like we're losing. We won tonight, but it seems like we're losing a lot more close games than we're winning close games. But yeah, that's my little rant. Shall we move on?
Yeah, I mean, a win is a win. I like I said, I told you, I told some people, I wasn't able to watch the game tonight, so it seems like I missed. Yeah. It seems like I may have dodged a bullet, but again, a win is a win. Still early in the season. I'll take it.
All right. Before we look ahead, let's give some awards out. So over the last 3-4 games, Michael, who is the Planet 76 Player of the Week?
So, I think I may have given it to him before. You may have given it to him before. And he will get more, definitely. And also, despite his not-so-great game in Minnesota, I'm going to give it to Seth Curry. Because he's put on multiple 20-point showings. Obviously, this season so far, he's been amazing. Very similar to last season. He's just been very key for the Sixers as a secondary ball handler, as a secondary scorer. His game just fits this team so well, and we all love Seth Curry. So
yeah,
I'm giving it to Seth Curry.
I like it. All right, I got the shout out of the week. And it has to be it's a two-parter. So the play, I got to go back to it. Andre Drummond with the tip in. Because, oh my goodness, that was incredible. And then Andre Drummond just on the whole tonight. He helped the Sixers win tonight against the Magic. So Joel, a little quiet. Drummond had 7 and 12 boards in 18 minutes. So pretty active in his time in, 2 blocks. But there was a stretch, I think early fourth quarter. Sixers only took a 3-point lead tonight against the Magic into the fourth. And Andre had a couple rebounds. He had a nice steal. He had Tobias throw him a lob. He had another finish at the rim. He was just active, and he helped the Sixers get a win. He did have a couple stupid turnovers after a couple offensive rebounds. But he wouldn't be Andre Drummond without that. It's kind of who he is.
Right.
So he helped the Sixers win tonight. I will say that. So he's the shout out of the week. You had something interesting on Instagram today.
Was it the TikTok thing?
The TikTok thing.
Yeah.
So let's hear it.
So for those that don't know, I also have an NBA TikTok. Just trust the love if you want to go follow. And I was reacting to a Instagram poll. Funny enough, we're coming full circle with the whole Instagram TikTok thing, where it was Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young, who you vote on who's better in the poll. And majority said Donovan Mitchell, which I took very much, not offense to, but I found a major problem with that. So I reacted to it on my TikTok, and I thought that a lot of people would agree with me, but it turned out it was more 50-50 than it was like 80-20. And I was like, okay, this cannot be it. Like, this cannot be. I need to convert everyone because this doesn't make sense. So I made a video, and it got a couple thousand views, and people were like, "You're an idiot!" So I took to my Instagram. I said, "Hey, what do you guys think about this? Let's see if you're smarter than the homies on TikTok." And as of an hour ago, it wasn't looking good because I was getting the same results that I was on TikTok. And that kind of makes me rethink things. But then when I do, I'm just like, there's no way that I'm wrong. And I don't mind being wrong. I have no problem being wrong. It happens all the time, especially with trust and love. But with this, there was just no. I could not accept, and I will not accept that I'm wrong because I'm not. I am not. Trae Young is better, and I don't even like Trae Young that much.
You're not wrong. I'll tell you where I stand after you tell me why you are so confident.
All right. So, I'll sum it up. I had like a 2-minute explanation on my TikTok, but I'll sum it up in a few seconds. It's just like, the way I look at it is, basketball has two sides of the game. There's offense and defense. You got to compare players on both ends of the floor to see who's better. Whoever is better offensively and defensively is better. However, in this case, when you have a player like Trae Young who's atrocious defensively, and I mean that, and we all know that, you got to look at the gap. And what I mean by that, the gap between Donovan Mitchell on defense and Trae Young on defense. Is it enough to say that Mitchell is better? And while Mitchell is better defensively, yes, I don't know if the gap is that large as opposed to the gap on offense. Because Trae Young, obviously we know, great shooter, great scorer, but just like, and his playmaking killed the Sixers in the playoffs. His playmaking ability killed the Sixers in the playoffs. His playmaking, he as a playmaker and just overall offensive, like, whatever, like, just offensive player, he is miles better than Donovan Mitchell. And that's where my conclusion comes from. Mm-hmm. Because even though Mitchell takes him on defense, the gap in offense is much larger than the gap in defense. So that's why I said, because Trae Young's offense, for the most part, makes up for his defense. Like, it happened in the playoffs too. He got hidden on, guys like Danny Green who don't do much besides shoot. When he drives, he's not great. Trae Young, all that stuff. So the gap on offense is larger than the gap on defense between the two players, which for the most part is why I think Trae Young's better. That was like a few minutes long. I didn't mean for it to go that much, but I wanted to explain it in full depth.
You sold me.
Really?
You sold me.
All right.
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
Even before that spiel, I just think Trae Young is amazing.
Yeah, he really is.
I don't particularly like either player at all.
Yeah, that's where I fall too. I promise. I have no bias towards any of these players.
Right. And Trae Young, my I don't want to say hate, my dislike for Trae Young dates back to Oklahoma, playing against my West Virginia Mountaineers. But he's pretty amazing. I mean, both guys are good. Obviously, you noted. I mean, they're both very good offensively. But like Trae Young, his playmaking is what sets him apart. And when I saw this poll, kind of the thing that went through my head. Now, again, they're different players, but let's say Donovan Mitchell last year against the Sixers is in place of Trae Young on the Hawks. How many games do the Hawks win in that series? Because I don't think it's 4.
I don't think they win more games. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think they win more games than if Trae Young. And I don't like to use that argument, but it applies.
Like, I don't think they beat us in the series last year if Donovan Mitchell's there.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And Trae Young's off-ball ability, like, he's a threat off the ball as much as he is on the ball. I don't know if that's the same for Donovan Mitchell, and that's that you can twist that either way, but that also I think that also applies too.
Yeah, and that's not like a proof of Trae Young's better because Donovan Mitchell wouldn't have done his because it's all situation and fit and who's around you, but
hypotheticals.
But hypothetically, and Trae Young, he just, I mean, we saw it for 7 games. He is annoying.
Yeah,
and he makes everybody else better. So yeah, I agree with you. I think he averages like 29 and 9.
Right.
Not that Donovan Mitchell's stats aren't great, but like, dude, that before a few years ago, that's like rare. I mean, now it seems like a lot of guys are putting up, ungodly numbers, but the dude is good, and he's going to be good for a long time. So that's all I'll say about that. You know who else is good? I just want to give a quick shout out to Tobias Harris. This is not the shout-out of the week, but Tobias Harris, he's only played, 13 games now. He's averaging 20 points a game. He's averaging a career high in rebounds. He's over 8. His rebounding this year has been spectacular. He had some man's boards against Minnesota a couple nights ago. He's averaging a career high in assists. He's always been around 3, but he's up to 4 this year. And again, small sample size, but he's playing well. And this is all despite only shooting like 32, 33% from 3. He's been fun to watch. His defense, he's played well. He's so capable, like off the dribble and getting into the lane and making stuff happen in the mid range and getting to the rim, to the point where, this is a guy who can shoot the ball very well, and his numbers or his percentage is a little low, and yet his points per game is still there because he can do it in so many different ways. And I just think he has been very good. I really hope he can earn an All-Star this year. And, I'm impressed with Tobias Harris. I just had to say that.
Me too, man. I second that. I am going to ride the wave of everything that Troy just said because I agree. Fantastic.
Yeah. And then Tyreese Maxiell, another guy. He's played, just a shout out to him because he's played in every game. Now 21 games in, Sixers are 11-10. Yep, durability. He's durable. 18.5 a game. Over the last 9 games, it's like 23, 24 points a game. Nearly a 5-to-1 assist-turnover ratio for a guy that is thrown into this role. We can't say it enough on Planet 76, but he has been very good, very fun to watch. Then a couple other questions I have, and I need answers, so I hope you're ready.
Okay.
So Danny Green, before tonight, the night before against Minnesota, he came off the bench. I thought I heard someone say that Doc Rivers said he's going to continue to come off the bench. Mm-hmm. Was that fiction? Because he started tonight against Orlando. Do you have any idea?
It's funny because I think I saw something as well. I'm not sure where. And I was thinking, okay, I mean, I don't mind that, I guess, depending on who's starting for Danny Green, but I guess it doesn't matter now because he's starting again. So, I think he's a guy that they should continue to start. But if he does come off the bench, again, it depends on who is taking his place.
Right. I gotta bring up the late game issues again. Mm-hmm. What is the answer? Because against Minnesota, it was go to Joel Embiid and see if he can. And he made some tough shots against Minnesota, but then he gets doubled, and we had a couple turnovers, and Maxey tries to force him the ball. What's the answer? Because I don't know. The late game stuff is getting a little old for me. Yeah, I'm just going to be honest.
I think a lot of it falls on Doc Rivers because ultimately he's the guy that's going to be making the plays and calling this and calling that for the Sixers. He's got to have things set in stone as to, okay, here's what we're going to do this. He needs to have things that they can go to on a game-to-game basis that are situational, that apply to them in late game. Okay, we're down 1, 30 seconds left. What are we going to do? Okay, we're down 3, 1 minute left. What are we going to do? I'm sure he does, and it might not always work, but he's got to have go-to scenarios during certain situations within the six, like in game, in a time where they need points. And I think it comes down to Doc, and obviously player execution too. But for the most part, I think that the players themselves, late game, yes, they have issues executing, but for the most part, I just think it comes down to play calling, really.
I wish we had Jimmy Butler because we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Oh man.
And I think that is part of it. We don't have a closer, and it's tough for a center like Joel Embiid to be a closer per se. And again, situational. It's almost like in a tie game, with a shot clock turned off, heck yeah, give it to Embiid down low. But, like, sometimes you just can't, and sometimes he's going to be doubled, and sometimes you're down 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, and again, in those late game situations the other night, Seth Curry didn't touch the ball. Tobias Harris, I mean, he's so good offensively. I think he could take more of a role in these late game things. I don't think he would shy away from it. I don't know. Even Tyreese Maxiell against Minnesota. If you rewatch that whole play, he had so much space to take D'Angelo Russell to the rim and give the Sixers like a 3-point lead with 15, 20 seconds. And he said, let me run over here, call Joel for a screen, and everybody knows what he's going to do with the ball. That's why it was a turnover. Like, everybody knew. There was no. Every other person on the court wasn't moving. And Joel comes over. It's like, oh, what are we going to do?
Let me just
So that just wasn't. That just, ugh. It can be better, and I think that's something they need to work on. And, but so 21 games in, Tobias Harris has played in 13 games. Joel Embiid has played in even less, and Ben Simmons has played in 0.
Hopefully,
and the Sixers are 11-10.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting a little healthy. That's kind of how I wanted to go. Getting healthy. People are back. Is it time to go on a run? That's my question.
Well, with this little stretch of games, they have Boston on Wednesday, Atlanta on Friday, and Charlotte on Monday and Wednesday of next week. I'm hoping, spoiler alert, probably, I don't know if we're going to talk about this or not, I'm hoping they go 3-1. But I'd love to see them go 2-2 because a nice little jump start with a win against Boston and one or two of Atlanta and Charlotte twice for a healthy Sixers team, that's a real nice boost because these are good teams. And obviously Atlanta's probably a little better than the other two, but these 3 teams are very good teams in the Eastern Conference. So this is going to be a really good test for the Sixers. And I would love a 3-1 record in this little 4-game stretch, but 2-2 is also fine for me.
Yeah, I just want to see him make a run.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we're sitting right in the pack with these teams right now in the Eastern Conference, and again, there's only 3.5, 4 games of separation from 1 to 10, so it's like, okay, not a big deal. Yet, because we're a quarter of the way through the season. Over these next 20, 21 games, like, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to be near 500.
Yeah,
I'd rather be 10 over, or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's time to make a run because if we, because we've been saying, COVID issues, injuries, this, everybody's back and ready. Let's get the ball rolling.
This is going to be
that's what I want to see.
And it's going to be a great opportunity for the Sixers to get their footing, and that everyone's healthy. They can, we're healthy. Let's lock in. Let's make some noise. All that stuff. Like these 4 games are going to be a great test. Again, I'll say it again, a great test because like you mentioned, the season's chugging along. And, as we get closer to the midway point of the season, things are going to be shaping up for this team. We're going to have more to work with in terms of what they are as a team and as a whole.
Right.
And games like these are key because you can look at that and say, okay, Sixers against high-tier Eastern Conference teams, how do they look? What did they do? Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is a test. I mean, we're going back on the road. It's ridiculous. We better get a nice home stretch coming up because this is
right? I think there's one. I think there's one at the end of December, actually.
Okay, good. Yeah. We need it. Yeah, I mean, so the Sixers have the exact same record as the Hawks, exact same record as the Celtics, and the
Hornets are a little better record-wise.
Hornets, yeah. Hornets have played 2 more games and they've won 2 more games, so 13-10 for the Hornets right now. Again, there's a logjam in the Eastern Conference, and it's going to be interesting to watch. But I think, these next, and it's a long stretch, but 20, 30 games till you get to about halfway point of the season, there can be some moving. there can be some okay, this is kind of who this team is going to be. Because there's not always a ton of moving and shaking from going from the 7 or 8 seed to the top 2 in this back half of the season. That doesn't always happen,
right. Exactly.
You're kind of where you're going to be, at least in tiers of teams. You're a top team, you're middle of the pack, you're not going to make the playoffs kind of thing. So I think it's time. I'm excited. Some of these games the Sixers have been playing, it's man, I don't even want to watch because, Joel's not playing, Tobias isn't playing. It's a different lineup every night. Now we can get some consistency. Now we can get, in a groove. I think Doc, I saw something on Twitter. He's like, yeah, this team's going to be good. I think this team's going to be good. I'm excited. And I think everybody's on the same page. So we shall see. And that's minus an all-star in number 25. Still waiting to see what happens with that. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, man.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So, yeah, hopefully we can get the ball rolling with a healthy roster and make some noise. What's the key to beating Boston real quick? So Boston, Wednesday, December 1st, first game of December. How do we come out of there with a win?
Well, one constant that's remained throughout the past few seasons of the Sixers playing the Celtics is that no one can stop Joel Embiid. The Celtics still don't have a competent enough center to stop Embiid. So the Sixers need to take advantage of that in every way possible and literally just throw Embiid at the Celtics.
Yeah.
That's what he's done. In the playoffs in 2020, he averaged 30 and 12 literally against the Celtics in 4 games, whatever it was. Last year against the Celtics, you can go look at the numbers. I'm sure he averaged something close to that.
Right.
In the regular season, they didn't play in the playoffs. But when he plays the Celtics, he is dominant, as he is with 95% of the NBA when they play the Sixers.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I think feed the big man. It'd be really sweet to come out of there with the win.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that is what can spark something for this team. That would be very, very nice to leave Boston with a win, head down to Atlanta on a Friday night. Now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like, okay, right. Not the West Coast anymore. We're playing some teams we're familiar with, playing some teams we don't like.
Definitely.
Let's get it going. I'm excited for this week.
Definitely going to be a good time.
Let's go. All right. I think that's it for Planet 76, episode 28. We will be back next week.
Yes.
And hopefully talking about some Sixers W's.
Definitely. Hopefully that's the key. That's the hope. Dreaming and wishing of that. We'll see.
Let's go. Make it happen. All right. We'll see you next time on Planet 76. Peace. Are you on Instagram? Why don't you go give us a follow at Planet76 Podcast so you can be in the know when we drop new episodes. Thanks for listening to this one, and we'll see you next time.